Savia Maria Aseo Sikujua Ondego Chariot. I'm a captain on the 737-800. My day was a normal day. It's a routine flight. I was scheduled for it 28 days ago. I was always going to command that flight if there was a change of roster or anything. That had been my flight on the schedule. So we arrived into Mumbai with the team on the Tuesday morning, rested, and we're ready to start our day. Mine started uneventfully. Had a chat with my husband, went to the gym. That day I felt very strong, did 10 kilometers on the treadmill. And when I went to the room to have a chat with my family is when I got the news. And on the family thread, and from there, you know, it was a sad moment, you know, and my comment on the group was like, oh, that's such a sad thing to happen, what a sad day. And yeah, finished my chats, decided to go have lunch, had my lunch, prepared myself for the coming flight that evening with no inclination at all, because there was preparations, having heard that he was at Cochin, you know, and we are Chhatrapati, Mumbai, you know, it's completely two different airports. So it never occurred to me that it would be us. So as I was preparing myself to rest for the flight is when my boss sent me a message asking me, hi, how are you? How's the team in Mumbai? This is not an unusual message from my boss. He checks up on the crew, checks up on stations. I just figured maybe he was asking something about the flight, you know. And that's when he said, oh, okay, I know you've heard what's happening in the country. I said, yeah, I have. It's a sad day. And he said, so since you guys are there, kazi kwenu, you know, and that's how it is, yeah. And that's what happened. We got the briefing. He sent me the breakdown of what's going to happen in Nairobi, sent me the briefing, the tribute. I called after finishing the chat with my boss, I called my first officer. We had a chat about it. I called my purser. We had a chat about it. We talked about all scenarios that might or might not happen to get ourselves prepared for the flight. And we're like, you know, it's just like any other day. We are professionals. We are trained for this. And we're ready. And that was it. We went to rest, and we woke up, got dressed, and headed to the airport. It's normal preparation for the flight, where we have to go through immigration, we have to go through customs, we have to get to the gate, be let in by the airport authorities to be able to access the aircraft. Once we did access the aircraft, the incoming crew, led by Captain Ali Ashil, we met with them. They gave us a brief of what happened on their flight with the delegation. At that time, the delegation and the family had gone to Pokea Baba and were going through the ceremony and the prayers. So the handover happened, and then we took over. And when we took over, did preparations for the flight, and this is why having a second in command that is present and with you helps a lot, because my job is to now manage the flight, ensure all that is going on is happening. And my first officer, Moses Mwangi, was the one now preparing to fly the flight so that I could manage everything else that was going on. So I'm the one who met with the delegation as he was preparing the steps for the flight. as I went to do my walk around to ensure that the aircraft is in a good state to depart, I actually was at the cargo hold whilst he was being placed in, and let alone that he was the late Prime Minister, it's the feeling of a child, I could understand Winnie's feeling that, no, I'm somebody's child, the father's gone, I'm a human being, and seeing the casket, it is that, yeah. So absolutely, it's all about humanity in terms of mtoto watu amepoteza baba, it's heavy. As I said from the beginning, it's a normal flight, and there's no normal flight that's followed the boat and 10 people. I know sometimes my husband makes sure that I'm in the right direction, but no, ours was to do our job, and our job was to take care of the people on board, to ensure that the flight goes from destination A to B safely and efficiently. So all the, as you're saying, most track, we came to find this out later, much later after we landed, and were trying to figure out how we'll get home. Yeah, that is when we found out about the most tracked, that the information had been put in the public. For us, we were doing our jobs. Kenyans are resilient people, are strong people, are together people, and for me to come in for Baba and Winnie and the family that was on board, I could just feel the love from the people to them, and that's all I could think of. What a blessing to this family. You get such pride from your country when you see everybody come together for a common cause, and that is for another fellow Kenyan. It's such pride, yeah. So no, it's not normal, but when you see it, you know what Kenyans are capable of. The moment I was apprehensive was at the point where now the borders were in front of the aircraft. The crowd had surrounded the aircraft. I still had passengers on board that I was responsible for. And at that moment, my team again, led by Jason, rallied, and we were able to get the buses to disembark the passengers. Once the passengers had gotten on the bus and were safely whisked away, we secured ourselves in the aircraft, and it was what it was. After that, all you could do is look outside and say, wow, like, I can't believe this has just happened. As a female pilot, I'm glad that the ladies, the girls can see we're out here, we're making it happen. There is still a lot more room for many, many, many more. Don't give up, don't let it go, don't think it's too difficult, don't think, yes, sometimes, yeah, you're not around, but with the support system of your family, your partners, it can happen. It's a beautiful job, and it's there for all of us.
My name is Jason Mose. I'm an in-flight performance manager, so I manage the crew. I'm in flight operations department. The day started normally. I went to the office. I was not supposed to operate a flight on that day. I went to the office. I combined both office and flight duties. I went to the office, finished my duties when we received the news about the passing of Honorable Raila Odinga. Of course, we went through the motions in the office with my colleagues. Then my boss requested me to go home, work from home, because we don't know how the roads will be, given the news we had received. When I got home, opened my laptop, just before I could opened my laptop and started working, I received another call from my boss. He told me, put on your uniform, you're going to Mumbai to facilitate the repatriation of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Once I was given instructions, I quickly prepared myself and made my way to the airport for the flight departure. This was not a normal flight. I understood that it's not a normal flight, and Kenya Airways did everything to accommodate the government delegation and the family members who were traveling, and of course there were emotions running around. People were sad, and everybody, especially from Kenya Airways, wanted everything to be perfect to make sure that the family is comfortable and safe as they travel to Mumbai and back. And that is the reason why the company requested me to come to ensure that we followed all the protocols, government protocols and company protocols in terms of safety, service, just to make sure that the flight went smoothly to the comfort of the family. The mood was anxiety. It was full of anxiety. The delegation that we were carrying on board during that day was there were people who had worked closely with Honorable Raila Odinga. The passengers as well were curious to know what is happening because once we received the request, once the company received the request to go on this mission, we had to make quick adjustments which affected some of our commercial passengers, and most of them were curious on what is happening. And the moment the captain read the tribute for Honorable Raila Odinga, then they calmed down. They actually empathized with us as Kenya Airways and as a country. And some of them reached out to me to find out what's happening. And I explained to them we've lost one of Kenya's most distinguished leaders. Of course, when we arrived, there are protocols, security protocols. It's an eye-sensitive security area where security protocols had to be observed. Initially, we were told that only 3 people will disembark the bus to go and move the body to the Kenya Airways aircraft. But Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, who was leading the delegation, made a phone call, and he mentioned to the team who were meeting us that the Prime Minister of India, Honorable Modi, had assured the Kenyan delegation that we will be accommodated and will be comfortable as we carried out the exercise of repatriating the body. Yeah. So when that was clear, we were allowed, all of us, the members of the delegation and the family. The body had been flown into Mumbai by a military aircraft from Kerala, south of India, and we had to go and move it from that area to bring it to the Kenya Airways aircraft. So we had a brief ceremony led by Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, the members of the delegation. Our High Commissioner in India was there also, leading the team that were preparing for our arrival in Mumbai. So we moved the body from where it was placed and to the Kenya Airways aircraft. Of course, we draped it with the Kenyan flag. Before now we put it into the hold to bring it back to Nairobi. When we left Mumbai, of course, Captain Ondego made the tribute once again from Mumbai to Nairobi. The family appreciated the tribute, and that set the mood for the flight. The passengers understood the mission of that flight because they had seen the commotion and movements. Now they understood after the tribute from Kenya Airways that was read by Captain Ondego. Everybody understood. Of course, as I mentioned, emotions, people are emotional, the crew are emotional, but in our job we have to be composed to ensure the comfort of the passengers in a professional and compassionate manner in a flight like this. So when we entered the Kenyan airspace, when the call sign for the flight was changed from KQ 2003 to RAO 001, that changed everything. The family were overwhelmed. They cried tears. The members of the delegation, they cried, you know. It was such a touching moment, and thoughtfulness from Kenya Airways to name a flight after an individual. It never happens. It happens with individuals who have a history with the airline, or individuals who are VVIPs. But I'd like to say that Honorable Raila Odinga had a history with Kenya Airways, and is one of the leaders in government who understood very early the importance of Kenya Airways to the economy of Kenya. And he advocated that despite the fact that we were not making profit, that we made a significant contribution to the economy in terms of tourism, in terms of culture, in terms of trade, movement of people from the region to Kenya, and the conferences that we have in Kenya. So he understood that having a national carrier is one of the key things to drive the economy of Kenya, and also to spearhead the sustainable development of Africa. So once that call sign was changed, there was applause in the cabin. The members of the delegation were very happy with that, with the honor that we bestowed upon Honorable Raila Odinga. And it was from that time the journey became very, how do you call it, very emotional, if I may put it that way. It became very emotional, especially when we approached Nairobi, and we came and found there was a crowd of people waiting for us. And one of the things that really moved the family in honor of the late Honorable Raila Odinga is a water cannon salute that that was put in place, and that is also a gesture of honor to Honorable Raila Odinga, the person he was as a leader, and what he meant to us as Kenya Airways. Yeah, so that was an honor for his arrival in Kenya. I felt the weight I deeply felt the weight of the mission and the duty that I was supposed to, that we were bringing Honorable Raila Odinga. It was no longer a normal flight for me. I had to lead my team with, of course, as a human being, I was overwhelmed also with emotion, but I had to remain composed. To ensure that my team were also composed, that the passengers were assured of their safety and comfort, and the fact that I knew that we're not just coming home. This was not just coming home. This was a national reflection.